Wonderful to have smachot, to have happy occasions. Mazel tov to the Kivels, mazel tov to the Abramsons, mazel tov to the Frames. Wonderful to have everyone together on this joyous Shabbat. Now, a little confession. I've always been a big fan of Spiderman. He was kind of a cool, nerdy kid. He had a super secret superpower. He lived in Queens, and he was a big Mets fan, things that were very close to my heart growing up. He went to Empire State University, as far as I know, a fictitious university, but it seemed a lot like schools in New York, like NYU or Columbia, I don't know, places I spent a lot of time. And his theme song was really good. Got to have a good theme song. Does whatever a spider can, spins a web, any size, catches thieves. Look out. You guys are going to have to work on your American culture a little bit. Yeah, he also jumped around a lot. And I love to jump around. So I don't know. That's the best as far as I can see in a superhero. But over the last couple of decades, I've really been getting confused about Spider-Man. There have been more and more Spider-Mans or Spider-Men or Spider People. They have different backstories. No longer is it one story and one growing up story. They're played by different actors. In a recent movie about, 18 months ago or 2 years ago, 3 different Spider-Man actors all came together to fight numerous villains from the multiverse in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. A lot of money to be made. Anyway, I recently saw the trailer for a new animated Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Apparently everyone is Spider-Man now. You guys didn't realize you are Spider-Man. I discovered the backstory of why this keeps happening. Why are there so many of these movies? It turns out that Marvel Comics sold the rights to the making of the movies and the merchandise to Sony Pictures. They kept the comic rights, but it was on the condition that they make a new Spider-Man movie every 5 years. And that's exactly what keeps happening. But I find it interesting that the writers keep returning to the original Spider story. They repeat it, they reinterpret it, they reimagine it for each of the new films. And so we're left with lots of different interpretations. And you might be asking yourself, what on earth is the rabbi talking about? And maybe he's just been drinking out of this cup a little bit too much. Fair question. Well, among the many moments that Elle described in her insightful Dvar Torah about this morning's reading, we find Moses explaining the laws of Passover again. Now, the Israelites are told in this week's reading that they are to offer the Paschal sacrifice on the 14th of the month with the various details associated with it. Now, of course, have we heard this before? What book? It's a big one. Yeah, Shmot, the Exodus. And so what's going on? We already learned this when they left Egypt. It's as if all the commandments Moses was telling the Israelites at the moment of the Exodus got a little bit forgotten in all of the excitement. And I have to say, this got my spidey sense up a little bit. The rabbis, of course, asked the same question. Why is Moses repeating the laws about Pesach? And they respin it by saying that repeating instructions is important because people tend to forget things. pretty logical. I find myself not seeing information, forgetting about things like Musaf meditation and all other kinds of things. And I need them repeated to me a few times or like 20. But it's natural. All of us sometimes need things reinforced. I've noticed, I don't put anyone on the spot, but sometimes in the shul, we announce that we're having an event and everyone forgot to sign up. This coming Friday, the barbecue people's deadline is Wednesday. But of course, there's a deeper message here that the rabbis are getting at. And it's the importance in the tradition of learning. Learning is not supposed to be a one-time pursuit. Learning is a lifelong endeavor. There's no morning when we wake up as Jews and we say, or I say, I've mastered the tradition. If anything, all of my rabbinic training and years of being a rabbi has taught me all of the things that now I need to go and learn. And every text that I explore invites me to return to it repeatedly, digging deeper, finding new pearls of wisdom, reimagining it. The most obvious way that we do this, and there's many different ways in Judaism, is what we do every Shabbat morning. We come in and we read the same Torah portion we read last year and the year before and next year. But we glean new insights each time we look at it. This is, of course, also woven into other places in the tradition. When we finish a great book of Jewish learning, a tractate of the Talmud, an order of the Mishnah, what do we say? Hadran alach, which in Aramaic, it's Aramaic for let us return to you. Let us come back to you. Great books never leave you, and you come back to them again and again. And this is related to another much less well-known custom in the tradition. At a funeral, there's a special form of the mourner's Kaddish. Not that well-known, not usually said. It's the Kaddish D'Itcharita, it's called in Aramaic. And it speaks of the heavenly Jerusalem, thinking of our loved one's soul being elevated. There's two places where this Kaddish is used: at the burial and when we complete a great book of Jewish learning. The idea is a very profound one. Great people, like great books, never leave us. And we never leave them. We return to them, and their memories, their learning, their teaching remain with us. This is what the memorably named teacher, you got to love his name, Ben Bagbag, taught in the Mishnah, Hafochba v'hafochba decholaba. Right? Turn over the Torah again and again. You will find everything in it. You will find new insights. The more that we study, the more we find. And then the Torah makes another point that we find in this morning's reading. It states that it's not merely the retelling and reinterpreting of the story that matters, but there's something deeper. The Torah states now the Israelites are to reenact the Exodus. They are to reenact and observe every year the commandments of Pesach. They are going to now observe Pesach 1 year after the actual events of the Exodus took place. This is slightly different, the rabbis say, than the first instructions. The first instructions were, we're going to do Pesach as we leave, offer the Paschal sacrifice. When you get to Israel, keep doing it. The rabbis say this one is about the wilderness. When the Israelites are in the wilderness, they're also to observe Pesach. So now it's very clear that this is to be an annual ritual. The Passover festival, the Seder. Tell the story, interpret it, reenact it, make it new for yourselves, your friends, and family. That is telling a story of greatness. The power of a great narrative is not merely in hearing it once, but it is in the retelling, in the reliving of it, through practices that take us way back in time and make us want to pass them on into the future. Great stories invite us to look back at them, seeking new meanings, taking us back to a place where we can now glean new insights from the same text. I think that's what our tradition offers us, a chance to look back, to go back to the sources, but look at them anew, with fresh eyes, with new approaches. See something you missed, or find a new understanding. Great texts produce that type of experience. And I would argue that it's also an approach to life. Look back on your own life. Look back on your family's journey, our people's journey, all of our journeys, and see if there's something that maybe you missed, and then see it differently. And in the return to that narrative, you can open up a new approach. For example, we can look back at something that was upsetting in our lives. And instead of seeing ourselves as helpless, we can see and view ourselves as resilient from the same moment. Judaism invites us to look at each day, each moment anew. The world is renewed for us each and every day. While each day may be similar to the one that came before, it doesn't have to be. Appreciate the past to envision a new future. Great Rabbi, the Baal Shem Tov, taught, Zechira Sod Geulah. In remembering is the secret of redemption. When we remember, reenact, or re-see the past, we invite a tomorrow that can bring new healing into our lives and into the world. Just as the original frame of Spiderman has now yielded so many narratives, we too can look back at the Torah and find new insights that hopefully reimagine our future. I want to be clear in this metaphor. I do find the Torah a little bit stronger in an original story than Spiderman. There's like a little bit more to the Torah, but it's a good reminder that we should give all interpretations and all of these spider people another spin. Shabbat Shalom.